and there was a relation. This is why I needed to ask you, what's the relation between the first, colonials and the governors of Morocco, because they communicated, because on paper it was part of Greater Morocco. That's known.
That's known.
How come you ain't getting this in school? Because they don't want you to know that you're standing on Morocco, that the land is Morocco, the occupational government is the United States. Distinguished from the land. It's a foreign religious corporation belonging to the Jesuits. You're under occupation. And you're referred to as the Great Masonic Secret.
Staying focused for Jesus.
Thanks for waking up with us.
December 1777, the Morocco Sultan Mohammed III included the United States in a list of countries to which Morocco's ports were open. Morocco thus became the first country whose head of state publicly recognized the newly independent United States. Relations were formalized with the Moroccan-American Treaty of Friendship negotiated by Thomas Barclay in Marrakesh and signed by American diplomats in Europe, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams with Sultan Mohammed III in 1786. The Barbary slave trade refers to slave markets on the Barbary coast of North Africa, which included the Ottoman states of Algeria, Tunisia, Tripolitania, and the independent Sultanate of Morocco between the 16th and 19th century, even though it goes back further than that. The Ottoman states in North Africa were nominally under Ottoman suzerainty, but in reality they were quasi-independent. European slaves were acquired by Barbary pirates and slave raids on ships and by raids on coastal towns from Italy to the Netherlands, Ireland, and the southwest of Britain, as far north as Iceland and into the eastern Mediterranean. Get out your mind that European equals white or Caucasian. Get out your mind that European equals Caucasian. It's like saying American equals Caucasian. You have many different people in America that are considered American. We know for a fact that during this time period that Europe was dominated by black people. Do I need to bring up Benjamin Franklin again? Going all the way back to at least 1751 when he did the observations concerning mankind. And even before that, Europe is named after Europa, a Phoenician princess. We have the coat of arms. We know about the black nobility during this time period. So get out your mind that European equals white. Get out your mind that Caucasian, which they call Indo-European, Indo means pertaining to India, so they would be Asian Europeans. Caucasian, C-A, was it C-A-U, C-U-S, C-U? Caucasus, pertaining to, in the context, the Caucasus Mountains in Russia. And then Asian, Caucasian, a collective body pertaining to Asia more so. But they met in this area of these mountains because these mountains, where the meeting of the elders happened, or what they represented kingdoms, nations. The towns of the North African coast were recorded in Roman times for their slave markets, and this trend continued into the medieval age. The Barbary coast increased in influence in the 15th century when the Ottoman Empire took over as rulers of the area. Coupled with this was an influx of Sephardi Jews, Spanish Jews from the area of Spain, in that area, and Moorish refugees newly expelled from Spain after the Reconquista, or however you pronounce it. So again, it tells us the towns of the North African coast were recorded in Roman times for their slave markets, and this trend continued into the medieval age. So we know that if we can go back to the medieval age, it was going on before that. And historically, we know that slavery is old. Medieval age. In the history of Europe, the Middle Ages or medieval period lasted approximately from the 5th to the late 15th centuries. Similar to the post-classical period of global history. It began with the fall of the Western Roman Empire and transitioned into the Renaissance and the Age of Discovery, which is why you have all this knowledge and they were talking about everything they were doing. The Middle Ages is the middle period of the three traditional divisions of Western history: classical antiquity, the medieval period, and the modern period. The medieval period is itself subdivided into the early, high, and late Middle Ages. Europe is a landmass located entirely in the northern hemisphere and mostly in the eastern hemisphere. It comprises the westernmost peninsulas of the continental landmass of Eurasia. It shares the continental landmass of Afro-Eurasia with both Asia and Africa, and is bordered by the Arctic Ocean to the north, the Atlantic Ocean to the west, the Mediterranean Sea to the south, and Asia to the east. Europe is commonly considered to be separated from Asia by the watershed of the Ural Mountains, the Ural River, the Caspian Sea, the Greater Caucasus, the Black Sea, and the waterways of the Turkish Straits. Although much of its borders over land, Europe is generally accorded to the status of a full continent. Why? Because of its great physical size and the weight of its history and traditions. So they're telling you that they consider Europe a whole continent by itself because of everything else, not necessarily because, hey, it's its own continent. They're telling you that Europe is really a part of Africa and Asia. And we know that what we call the Middle East, Africa goes into parts of Asia. European culture is the root of Western civilization. Why is that important? I was about to tell you. European culture is the root of Western civilization, which traces is lineage back to ancient Greece and ancient Rome. You may say, okay, see, where did the ancient Greece and the ancient Rome get their culture and civilization from? The fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD and the subsequent migration period marked the end of Europe's ancient history and the beginning of the Middle Ages. Renaissance, humanism, exploration, art, and science led to the modern era. since the age of discovery started by Portugal and Spain. Who was in that area at the time period? The Jews. They got kicked out. We got kicked out, right? Europe played a predominant role in global affairs. Between the 16th and 20th centuries, European powers colonized at various times the Americas, almost all of Africa and Oceania, and the majority of Asia. So our people was there bringing in the age of enlightenment, and then we end up being in captivity by the very places that we helped to build. This is why God said in the book of Deuteronomy that when we went to captivity, he would bring not only us, but our king that we would set over us. We put ourselves in bondage because of our disobedience, because we had the knowledge and the wisdom and understanding. Europa, consort of Zeus. In Greek mythology, Europa was a Phoenician princess of Argive Greek origin and the mother of King Minos of Crete. The continent of Europe is named after her. So, y'all have heard me discuss this before. You had the bull, and then she was pretty much made to sleep with the bull. Or the bull went out there and pretty much got her, captured her, whatever. They had sex. There was a child conceived, the king of Minos, this creature, this Minotaur hybrid type of creature. That's that's what it's showing you what's going on in the spiritual. But this is a literal princess, and this is a literal person. This bull that got her, but he was seen as this bull. We know who the bull represents, right? Or can represent. Doesn't mean the bull is exclusive to who we know as the devil. Make sure I clarify that. Thou shalt not sacrifice unto the Lord thy God any bullock or sheep wherein is blemish or any evil favoredness, for that is an abomination to the Lord thy God. So when we are offering up these sacrifices today, these spiritual sacrifices, or we are eating our food and we're offering up to the Lord and giving thanks, it shouldn't be no evil favoredness within us. You know, we want to give the best to the Lord. That's why when I get in that kitchen, I take it very, very seriously, because I'm not only cooking for myself, but I'm cooking for my family, but I'm doing it unto the Lord. Everything should be done to the Lord, because you do it unto the Lord first and foremost. What's the first commandment? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as you love yourself. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, man or woman that have wrought wickedness, in the sight of the Lord thy God, in transgressing his covenant, and have gone and served other gods and worshiped them, either the sun or the moon or any of the hosts of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told thee, and thou hast heard it, and inquired diligently. So I tell you, when I speak about somebody doing something wicked, I've inquired diligently. Just like with Stephen Darby, I watched all those videos and inquired diligently of the Spirit what was really going on. And behold, it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought in Israel. Then shalt thou bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto thy gates, even that man or that woman, and shalt stone them with stones till they die. I didn't stone them with stones, but I brought him before the council, and he was found to be guilty. He was already brought before the council because the Lord is the one that told me to warn him that he kept on doing what he was doing, manipulating people to get the money instead of just telling the people outright, hey, I need funds because this is what we're trying to accomplish. Then he will be taken out, which is exactly what happened. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death, but at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. And there were many witnesses that came forth and testified what I just made videos about. And not only him, but others. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people. So thou shalt put the evil away from among you. I was the first one to put my hands and raise my hands up and say that he's guilty of this. So guess what? If I'm in error and I'm bearing false witness, then my judgment will be double, at least double what his was. And then God will be more gracious to him than he is to me. Obviously, like, okay, this man lied against you, blase, blase. Now, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna do this for you because he lied against you. So y'all worried about what I'm saying is false about this man. If what I'm saying is false, then my judgment will come. So why are you so worried about it? Let it be. You've already said what you need to say. Obviously, I haven't let it go. So go about your business. If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, then shalt thou arise and get thee up into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And thou shalt come unto the priests of the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they of that place which the Lord shall choose shall show thee. And thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee, according to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, thou shalt do. Thou shalt not decline from the sentence which they shall show thee to the right hand nor to the left. So you're going to execute the judgment. Execute the judgment. Now this is what was going on in the land. When we was in our land, we had our own laws that governed us. And the man that will do so presumptuously and would not hearken unto the priest that standeth to minister there before the Lord thy God, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, and thou shalt put away the evil from Israel. And that man that will do presumptuously and will not hearken unto the priest that standeth to minister there before the Lord thy God. So they don't want to go with it. Like, no, I'm not going up here. I'm not going to do this, whatever. Or they didn't want to carry out the judgment. Everybody had to carry their part out. Because if they did it and their heart wasn't right, then the judgment was going to be upon them also. So we're going, okay, y'all can't settle this matter. Then we're going to take it before the Supreme Court. Or you don't want to go before the Supreme Court? Well, if you really are making a big stink about you being right and this person being wrong, then why you want to back down now? Because if what they're doing is wrong, like you say it is, then their judgment is just. Now you want to bag out because it's gotten real serious. Oh, so you're showing that you're the one that's probably guilty. And all the people shall hear and fear and do no more presumptuously. So all this is supposed to be done so the people can fear and know God ain't playing no games. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. So hey, we're gonna have a king over us like the rest of the nations. But God is saying, no, you're not gonna have a king over you like that. You're gonna have a king that I choose. You're not gonna do it like the rest of the nations do. But yet people love to do it the way these nations are doing it. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. Do we have kings over us that are not our brethren? Absolutely. Why? Because we are not in our land because of our disobedience. So we have wicked people that don't understand us, that don't understand the word, even though they talk about the word, ruling over us. But he shall not multiply horses to himself. talking about this king that's of our brethren, nor cause the people to return to Egypt. So don't turn the people's hearts to go back and worship these false gods or want to go back into captivity. Like, we have our own brother, our own flesh ruling over us, but he just as bad if not worse than the Pharaoh. So we should just go back. And also the first part says, but he should not multiply horses to himself. Meaning that a king has a right to have a lot of possessions. That's just the way it is. But when he's having all these different things and not taking care of the people, that's the problem. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. So all these different women, they turn away the heart of the king. We see that with Solomon, right? So it wasn't the issue that the king couldn't have all these different wives. It was that he was multiplying all these women being greedy. I want everything for myself. I'm king, so I can have all the horses. I can have all the wives. I can have any wife I want. I can have this Egyptian wife. I can have these wives that worship these false gods. Because remember what Nathan told King David. He said that you didn't have to do this wickedness that you did, having Uriah killed to get Bathsheba. I would have gave you all the women that you wanted in righteousness. That's what God told Nathan to tell David. Now I do have a video on polygamy and everything. It's a video I did probably 5 to 8 months ago, but I'm going to get it uploaded one of these days. Yeah, I'm catching up with my old videos if you haven't noticed. This is a newer video. Today is October 24th, 2021. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. So it wasn't a matter that he couldn't have silver and gold, but it said greatly multiply. He got all of it to himself and not using it the way it's supposed to be used. If you're greatly multiplying something, it's so you can greatly benefit the people. But obviously the ox is worthy of his hire, meaning the king is worthy to sit as a king and live as a king. And it shall be when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of this law and these statutes to do them. So this is what we do today. We have the word, but before it was just to the royalty. The royalty had it. And we see that throughout history. And then when you get to King James, that's when God was saying, okay, we're going to get into the hands of the everyday people. But that ended up being a problem, not because God did that, but because of the people. So that's when you had the Apocrypha and everything in there. And then it ended up taking the Apocrypha out because it was causing confusion amongst the common people. Remember, only the royalty and those who was in positions of power and authority, they had access to this ancient knowledge. It's always been like that. It's like that today. God doesn't give the ancient knowledge to everybody. He gives it to those who he knows is going to do something with it. So when they had the Apocrypha in these Bibles back then, in the bishop's Bible and everything, the bishop was the leader of the church. They understood that it wasn't scripture, but it was for historical reference. And even the authors that put together during that time period, the Apocrypha, they tell you that in the prologue, why they did that and everything. And they say that this is not scripture. This is for historical reference to know what's going on, because God wasn't speaking to the people for an extended period of time. He wasn't really speaking to the prophets and stuff. So they were trying to figure out what was going on in the world so they can figure out where they was at in prophecy. Then, like I said, when the Bible started getting into the hands of the average person, the common people, then they end up taking it out because it was causing confusion. not because they were trying to hide something. So today we know we're supposed to be in the word every day, right? It says that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren. So even though he's sitting as a king, even though I'm sitting in the position that I sit in as a prophet is a very powerful position, especially with the things that God reveals to me. And y'all know I make the videos. But I do magnify my office. The position that God has put me in with the real estate, that's a powerful position. Because we know that real estate it can be very lucrative in a righteous way if a person uses it righteously. So I have to stay in the word. Why? So that my heart is not lifted up above my brethren. Like, yeah, you ain't doing what I'm doing. I'm above you. Yeah, I am in a sense above you in regards to the position and the seat that I'm in. But I can't sit in that position or seat and say, I'm above you. You're going to do what I tell you to do. You know what I'm saying? You can't hold my nasty jock strap, all this other stuff. And I'm eating good and everything, but I ain't taking care of the people. I ain't looking out for the people. That's like with me having all this knowledge and wisdom and understanding because of my love, and then me not doing anything with it, or I'm charging you for it. Now, I don't charge you for it. I put the videos out there. I give freely. Even though I'm sitting in the position where I have all this, I'm using it righteously by giving it to the people freely and explaining it the way it's supposed to be explained so that you can use it the right way in your temple. And so now, because I'm getting to the real estate and these different things, when God grows that even more than what it already is, because I came in with the vision that turned into one piece of land, that turned into 3 pieces of land in a house in less than 2 years. It's been about 1.5 years. So you see how God has exponentially, he's already doubled what I started with. You could say I started with 1 piece of land and I got, from 1 piece of land, I got two more pieces of land and a house. So guess what? That's going to multiply to even more, which means that I'm going to have more resources. So I can't sit here and be like, okay, I got this car, I got this, I got that, I got this, I got that. And I'm lifting myself up above my brethren and not looking out for the very people that was there with me from the beginning, or those that God puts in my path. So that's why I stay in the word, so I can stay humble. I want to stay humble so when I get to that position, I don't mess it up. Because I don't want to get to that point and mess it up, because what does that do? That messes up the testimony of Christ. But now I'm getting in a position and I start helping more and more people that way, then it shuts them all up, because they can't say that nobody like myself or another brother and sister that I'm going to help get to that point that we don't exist or it can't be done. I'm trying to glorify God in every aspect, and he knows that. But I want to make sure it's done in righteousness and not in pride. So it goes on again. It says that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left. You keep straight to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom. So what happened with Stephen Darby at the y'all say at the pinnacle, at the peak of his ministry just really blowing up? God took him out. Why? Because he turned from the commandment. So when I'm telling you this stuff, I'm not telling you this stuff because I want to just come at this brother. I was hoping the brother would have gotten right, but he didn't. So when you're obedient, your ministry and what God gives you will continue to grow, which means he expects you to bring more and more return on the investment that he's given you. And it says he and his children in the midst of Israel. So all the Israelites, they will see who God is really blessing. So everything that God has me doing, and some of you, what he has you doing, he's using it he's using. Let me click on Walmart. Keep on talking. Y'all give me a second. Get over here. He's using it as a example. He's using us as an example to the other Israelites. that, hey, those are the ones that I blessed. The ones you're rejecting, those are the ones that I blessed. You need to listen to them. But they don't want to listen to us because they don't want to come to true repentance. And so they make all these false accusations against us and everything. Oh, he's only about the money. He talk about material and material things or whatever. But then they talk about material and possessions every day too. But I can't talk about it. So if I talk about material stuff, then I'm being materialistic. If I talk about possessions, then I'm being materialistic or whatever. But when they talk about it, when they talk about getting land and having aquaponics in combination with hydroponics and creating a micro ecosystem in their backyard and having this land and having a nice house on it, then they're not being materialistic. If I talk about land and doing the same thing and doing real estate and these different things and getting these resources and being able to leverage them, then I'm being materialistic. If I talk about the benefits of being self-employed and God has blessed me to be self-employed, then I'm being materialistic. If I talk about the physical possessions, the physical blessing, then I'm being materialistic. But if they do it, it's okay. If I have a nice car, then I'm being materialistic and I'm stunting or whatever. But if they do it, hey, they're not doing that because they can do that. Yet your spouse is in the physical body. That's a physical blessing. My wife is a physical blessing. So you telling me that I can't boast because the Lord gave me a godly wife? I can't boast because of the children the Lord gave me? I can't boast if the Lord puts me in a position to be self-employed, which allowed me to make all these videos I've been making and make some of the moves that I've made since being self-employed or entrepreneur, however you want to put it, leading up to what I'm currently doing right now. I can't say that. Because if I say it, then I'm being materialistic. But if anybody else says it, or if a Hebrew that's a part of the camp, they say it, then they're not being materialistic. You see the hypocrisy? But then these would be the same brothers that try to get you to come into the camp or get some money from you. When they see you got this money or whatever, then they want to get in on it. Because now they see it benefits them. Stop the foolishness. Let me ask you this. How many children do you know worry about money? Children really don't have a care in the world. How many children do you know that they worry about money? Not too many, right? They learn it. We teach them how to count and everything. Because money is for grown folks. Conversations about financial literacy. Conversations about resources, conversations about worldly riches, conversations about money. It's for grown folks, for those who are spiritually mature. So what you have is you have a whole bunch of children that are out of pocket, speaking on things that they shouldn't be speaking on, saying stuff that they have no business saying. Talking about what you can or can't do and this and that. The word says that all things are lawful for me, but not all things are expedient for me. All things are lawful, but I will not be brought into subjection or under the authority or power of any of those things. So to make money is lawful. But when you put yourself under the power of mammon, then that's the problem. Mammon serves me. I don't serve mammon. Resources serve me. I don't serve them. So when we're talking about money, these different things, and you want to get out of pocket, is exactly that. You're out of pocket because you are immature. You're still on milk. You're trying to digest and eat. You're trying to eat and digest meat when you shouldn't be. This is grown folks' conversation. So, the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. When you're talking about a nation that our fathers have not known. We don't know these gods. Not saying that we don't know this nation, this place. But we don't do what they do. That's foreign to us. That's why we don't go over there. We stay in our lane and we build what we got, and then we go and we conquer everything else. It is what it is. But I want to read this one more time. The first part. The Lord, this is talking about the curses. The Lord shall bring thee, so us, and thy king and our king, which we shall set over thee. So we end up choosing our own king to rule over us. And we got to the point now where we're choosing strangers to rule over us. We don't even want our own people to rule over us. Sounds a lot like democracy. Showing you that democracy is part of the curse for us. It's a blessing for them, but it's a curse for us. Because we're the ones that are supposed to be making the decisions. But we ended up in captivity, rather it was on slave ships, or rather we were forced out of Europe, Ireland, Scotland, wherever. We all ended up in captivity. And a lot of the people that did it, that helped, when they had no business helping, was our own people and those that looked like us. Like a lot of the Moors, who are Hebrews, or a mix between Hebrew and, should say, Shem and Hamite, even though technically we all mix with Shem and Hamite at this point. Shemite and Hamite at this point. But do you see what's going on? That's why we say all SkinFolk ain't KinFolk. And with that being said, God bless each and every one of you. In Jesus Christ's name, as always, stay focused for Jesus. And as you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared.